Hi guys, hope you're all doing well. It's Johanna from High Tea Toys, and hey, I've bought another modular. Wow, that never happens on this channel. So, as you know, I'm sure I bought this modular a little while ago. It got to me in the post last weekend. Was it last weekend? Oh dear lord, it was last weekend. Okay, that feels like a really long time ago. It was one of the modulars actually that hasn't necessarily been like at the very top of my wanted list. It's kind of just been sort of it's nice, but we'll have to see. What makes it slightly more appealing is because it's quite an old modular, you'd expect the price to have risen quite a lot, but with the pet shop, for some reason, the price of this modular is kind of always stuck around like 140, 150, 160. So this is actually one of the more affordable retired modulars, which makes it obviously super appealing for people that don't want to spend an absolute fortune on retired modulars. This is a really lovely little build, and it's very much in the same style as the latest bookshop. So if you're familiar with that modular that comes on two 16 by 32 base plates, this is the same. As you can see, they are not attached at the top. You can arrange them as you like. I've kind of put them together in the same way that the instructions want you to do, because, you know, I'm building to the instructions, so I should listen to them. But I do have quite a few thoughts on them, and I just kind of wanted to do my usual let's chat about these sets type reviews, because, you know, there's a lot of things that I'd like to talk about with this lovely set. So really quickly before I do that, obviously I bought this to go into my new city expansion. I have a sort of place in mind, but I'm also planning on trying the alternate build for this set, which I'll link in the description down below, because there is a really lovely antique bookshop mod for this, which I love. Now, without further ado, let me chat about this set. So as I said, it wasn't at the very top of my modular wanted list, mostly because of this townhouse build. I think overall it's a very nice set. I like the contrasting colours and sort of the different vibes they bring, but personally I've never really absolutely loved the build of the townhouse. On glancing at it, I was always like, yeah, seems fine. What I do really like about the set is the pet shop. So that was all kind of my opinion before I went into this build. Right, so the townhouse. Now actually, whilst building this, I was really confused why I ever thought this wasn't that nice looking. However, when I got to the top floor, this section, I realised why. I didn't think it looked very pleasing. In my mind, the design of this facade here at the front just doesn't sit quite right with me. I think it's because it sticks out too much and it doesn't follow the shape of the house you've built underneath. Because if you take this roof off, you have a really pleasing round shape with a lovely circular window, very similar to actually the latest townhouse that comes with the bookshop, though this one goes over 2 floors. You have like a really nice sort of like shape that you see in a lot of Victorian houses, and I really like the design of it so far. However, when you get to the roof, they kind of like stump that off and it doesn't follow the roof anymore. It's also quite overhanging, so this thing aligns with the front window, which means that there is quite a lot of overhang sort of like on the side of the door. I think to me that just doesn't quite work. The other thing that I don't love is the colour scheme of the roof. I feel like it lacks some dark red elements to kind of make it more cohesive. So actually I like this as a house build and I was pleased by it, but I think the roof is what's currently not quite right for me. Also, the roof is what makes me maybe want to mock this one or definitely try the antique bookshop. I do, however, think that the back is quite nice. I like that they had a little like vegetable outdoor growing patch at the top here. I like the little detail at the back of some flowers, because very often the back is a little bit neglected. I think this is actually slightly more detailed, and they've given some of the bookshop signs. There was like a little entry to the like store underneath the house, like some steps, very similar to the bookshop modular. And actually I have to say, when I was building this set, it just had so many parallels to that modular that it was actually really nice to kind of compare the two, because you could really see how Lego has evolved from sort of like when this came out to the bookshop, which is like, I don't know, a year old at this point. So it was really pleasing to kind of draw those parallels and see how far Lego has come. Now for the interiors of this townhouse, I have to say that's probably where you find this is an older modular the most. Interiors are incredibly scarce, especially in this one of the build, but honestly, really not very much detail. So the only detail at the top of this house is there's 2 boxes, and then if you go down 1 floor, there is just a minifigure painting the wall, so you kind of probably taken this as like whoever lives in this house has just moved in, so they're just painting the walls. To be honest, the way they've done that is really, really sweet. I really like the little build that it comes with. However, very sparse. And then this top here is quite sweet. It has a little like plant in the windowsill, which I quite like. It has a couch or sofa, and then there is a really fully furnished toilet under the stairs, which is surprising, as well as a telephone. And the other fun detail that was quite surprising is that there's a trap hatch like there that gives you access to the bottom basement. Now, the colours of the sofa are quite ugly, dare I say. I also made one really tiny mod to this build, which is the fence pieces that I got with a new form of fence pieces with the 4 studs at the top rather than the 2 studs. And because of that, it looked really unfinished, so I added some black tiles to the top, which kind of made it feel a little bit more finished. That's the only thing that I've done to this set because I really wanted to stick to the original design as much as possible, kind of for the review sense, but also for me to kind of really see the evolution, I suppose, of Modulars. I'm really, really grateful I got the chance of like building this and kind of seeing what I thought of it. Overall, I think this, as a building on its own, may be my least favourite of the Modulars that I own, which at this point is quite a few. That being said, I don't hate it or anything. I just think that this one in particular has a lot of room for improvement at the top floor, which I think really could look much nicer. Which is a shame because I think the bottom floors are really nice and I actually really like the design of. And even as all the Modulars, I think that holds up. It's just the roof that dates it for me. I do like the colour scheme. Now, let's move on to the pet shop side of this build. Honestly, guys, I really love the colours in this. I think it's really unique. It stands out a lot compared to like all the mods that I have currently. Obviously, this colour blue is reused in the Assembly Square set, but I think it's a really lovely design. I was initially relatively hesitant with the design of the roofs here because there's actually no glass in them, which I think wouldn't happen again if they were to release this set. But I love, love, love the colour scheme of this, and I really like the contrast of the pink flowers as well. As you can see, the only bits that I was missing from this set were the reddish brown to like plant pieces there. I've replaced them with green at the moment, but I'm just going to be replacing them when I can find them on Bricklink. I thought this was a really, really sweet build. Honestly, I had so much fun with this one. The back is actually still relatively detailed, which I quite appreciate. It's still really symmetrical and pleasing looking, and it carries on that 3 window design from the front, which I really appreciate, as well as some big windows there, a very random staircase, and then some nice little details at the back. Honestly, I have to say the designs of these monsters are really well thought out, and I really appreciate that. As everybody probably knows, the design of this pet shop sign at the front is so much fun as well. Honestly, the build for it is great, and I really, really enjoy putting that together. What I also really love about this modular in particular is that it's not just a house or a shop. There is actually a little corridor here that takes you up to the apartment above, which, to be honest, if you think about how these buildings works really well. It's also relatively unique compared to the other modulars I have. The pet shop itself I think looks really nice. I like the little canopy outside that matches the pet shop sign. I think it's really, really beautiful designed, and honestly, even though I kind of knew I liked the design of this building anyway, it was even nicer in person. So whereas I found out what I didn't like about the townhouse, this one really, really pulled the set together for me because I build it in order. So you build the townhouse first and this second, and honestly this build on its own I would already buy. It's really, really beautiful. The colours are fantastic. Now for the interiors. Obviously we've discussed that these are all the modulars, like the interiors are much sparser. However, this building is slightly better than the townhouse. There's slightly more detail to be found on every floor, which is really nice. So as the top 2 floors are an apartment, it's really small and compact. So at the top floor there's a little bed with a nightstand, which is really cute. It's interesting that they chose 1x1 plates for the bed rather than tiles for the dark tan, but I don't know if at that point they didn't have a dark tan tile yet. But I thought that was kind of interesting because when you now get bed designs, they're always just tiles. And then on the first floor we have a really small kitchen and a little seating area and a fireplace, which is more details than we find on the floors of the townhouse, so it's really, really nice. I love the fireplace design. I really like that they incorporated that feature into this. There is a fireplace in the townhouse as well, so it kind of pulls that together, and I think that's really sweet. As well as the kitchen's cute. I just don't know why they chose red for some of its elements. It's quite like harsh and bright and slightly at odds with the colour of like the house itself. However, it is really sweet, and I like that they incorporated a little coffee machine as well. And though very sparse again, the little seating area is quite cute, and I really appreciate that there's some more details here. Now, the budget for the interiors obviously went to the pet shop, because this is where you find the most detail, the most elements and little nuggets. So first of all, there is a really lovely and unique looking dog that I hadn't seen before right under the stairs, but the stairs actually move up. So the stairs to the apartment above actually collapse so you can look into the pet shop better, which I love as a feature. I'm so pleased they did that. That really shows thought for the interior. Then there is a little aquarium with a fish in, and then there's a little cat in a corner as well, which actually is chasing a little mouse that's escaping from the pet shop, which is such a fun little detail when you're building it, but when it's pulled together you can't quite see that as well. It just makes building it really, really fun. And then there's two little parrots in the window, as well as some lovely display out front. And then there's like some bits for sale behind a till. There is a till as well. And honestly, I really, really love this design. I'm super pleased that there's a decent amount of interior detail in the pet shop itself, because obviously this modular is called Pet Shop, so you kind of feel like it needs to incorporate that idea into the interiors, which they've really, really done, and you can totally see that that's where the budget for interiors went. Right, so really quickly as well, minifigure wise, there's 4 minifigures in this set. There is just a general gentleman, a little girl who comes with a lovely green cycle, which I like. I like every colour cycle because obviously I have my cycle path and I like adding more colours, and I didn't actually have a green one yet. Then there is a lady in the house itself with a really beautiful like medieval looking torso, which I really liked. I love this minifigure a lot. And then there's the painter, who is currently on the first floor of the house just painting the wall, which, to be honest, as a minifigure selection goes, is pretty standard, and I'm very happy with that selection. They obviously all come with the general normal smiley Lego faces, because that's what all the sets had up until I think the diner was the first one that didn't. The townhouse isn't my favourite, but the pet shop is really lovely. Because this set, as resale value currently for a used set, is still around the price of a normal modular, I really think this set is still really worth its value. A lot of the older retired modulars have like absolutely skyrocketed in price and like are just insane. And because of that price, I think it's really, really very worth to pick it up if you do want some more modulars to your city. Obviously, as you know, I'm not like a completionist. I don't need to have every single modular ever created. As much as that would be really nice, I just don't have the space, nor am I very willing to spend that much money on it. But this felt like an achievable price for a really lovely build. Would I incorporate it into the city like this? Yes, I would. However, I would still mock the top floor of the townhouse to kind of make it a little bit more visually pleasing to my own standard. So I want this building to sit where the bookshop and townhouse currently sit, because I want the bookshop and the townhouse to move to the 3rd level in order for it to sit next to the police station whenever I get that, because I feel like they fit really well together. I'm sure there will be some updates when I've placed this to kind of see what you think. Because there is a beautiful alternate build for this modular available, I am definitely going to build that alternate build at some point, because it's just one of those things that looks so good I really want to try it out. I'll leave the link to those rubricable instructions down below so you can kind of see them, but this is worth the money because this hasn't skyrocketed in price yet. I feel like if this were to go up a lot, then I probably wouldn't find it worth it. However, the pet shop on its own is really, really cute, and I think it's one of those builds that you would definitely want to add to your city because it just adds so much lovely detail. Now, there's obviously lots of other things to be said about this thing, but I feel like that kind of incorporates most of my thoughts right now. If you have this set, let me know what you think of it. Do you want this set? If you don't have it, what are your thoughts on it? Again, if you find any amazing mocks for the top floor of the townhouse, do let me know. I've not quite come across any yet, but I'm really definitely keeping my eyes out because I'd love to know if somebody had the same concern as me. Overall though, I am really, really pleased I picked it up and I had so much fun building it. There is just something about building modulars that's just so much fun. It's definitely one of my favourite Lego lines at the moment. Considering how much I love modulars, it has made me even more keen to get a second Diagon Alley set in order to make that slightly more modular but also taller, because I feel like Diagon Alley is such a beautiful set. I just want to like add a bit of my own stamp to it. So I have started a savings fund a few months ago actually, to kind of really slowly start saving up for a second Diagon Alley, so I feel like that's on the cards, but I don't think I'll have the budget for that until sort of like end of this year, start of next year. Now, as you know, if you've watched my recent vlog where I went out to the Lego store with James, I was planning on picking up another modular or more than one. So that video is coming soon. I've actually started this project and it's honestly taking so much time, but I will post that video sometime this week, or at least the first part of it, because the city is expanding, ladies and gentlemen, and it's expanding at a very alarming rate, but it's very, very exciting to share all with you. There is some other really cool sets on the way as well. This month has been really good for finding some of my white whale or most wanted sets. So honestly, there's a lot of really exciting videos coming, at least in my opinion, because there's lots of sets that I've wanted for a long time. There's actually one that I'm going to be filming right now because I really want to share this with you guys. So let me know what you think of the pet shop. Thank you so very much for watching. Do all the YouTubey things, like, subscribe, maybe become a member if you want to be part of my Discord server where we chat about all the things that I'm buying, what you're buying, any mocks you're doing, because I love chatting to you all. Link is just down below for that, and I will see you all in the next one, guys. Hello, bye! I love my modulars, I love them so much. I don't know why I started this tradition of doing a weird dance and a weird song at the end of my videos. Oh yeah, but it's the thing now, I guess. I can't dare it not. Goodbye.